All right. Well, we got Michael. How do you pronounce the last name? I don't want to mess it up.
You get Szeto.
Szeto. Michael Szeto out
Szeto.
of North
Yeah.
Carolina. We were just talking before we jumped on the recording. So you met up with Stefan, one of our account managers, a couple weeks ago?
Like literally last week. I think we met up last week.
Yeah, and it was cool.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, our we try to encourage our account managers, especially anyone new, to get out in the field and meet with inspectors, watch them do an inspection, get coffee.
Mhm.
And Stefan was nice enough to reach out to you, and you were nice enough to give him an hour of your time. And so it sounds like you guys got to shooting the shit and had a good time chatting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. We had a great time. Like COVID, with all those Zoom meetings and, having a chance to meet someone in person and face to face is definitely a icing on the cake.
Yeah, for sure.
And yep.
Well, let's go backwards in time here. So, like, what's the current state of things in North Carolina? How's business been? Kind of like, how are you approaching kind of the current environment? And then we'll go chronologically backwards to
Yeah.
COVID and your backstory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, current market in North Carolina, we have two biggest metro city, Charlotte and Raleigh.
Hmm.
Raleigh, people saying Raleigh is the second biggest city in the North Carolina, but we are actually the capital of North Carolina. But
Hmm.
it's growing. I think geographically attracted a lot of people from up north,
Yes.
even from like Seattle. I have done a lot of home inspection for clients and from Colorado, New York, Jersey, Michigan, all over the place. I think they get sick of the cold weather.
Yeah.
So, but they don't want to go to Florida hot. So we're right in the middle. And
Yeah.
we only like 2 hours away from the beach, 2 hours away from the mountain. It definitely attract a lot of people. Tax rise, property tax are low,
Yep.
super low. I think we pay like 1 or 1.5% or something like that. I have met up with a lot of client that they moved from Jersey. They're like, "How much is the property tax down here?" I'm like, "Maybe about 2 grand." They're like, "2 grand a month?" I was like, "No, 2 grand a year." And they were paying like 10, 20,000
Yes.
dollar for
Yeah.
property tax. It's crazy. And so I just met up with talked to a client. They're like, "Yeah, this is my first time home buyer, and we're from Jersey, and there's no way we can afford a house, and we have to rent." Pretty much everybody in Jersey or everybody in New York, they're rent for life.
Yeah.
So they come down here. I'm actually doing their inspection next week. They have a bunch of questions and stuff. So yeah, it definitely attract a lot of people. We have a lot of new construction. The city is growing. I've been in the city in Raleigh for over 20 years, and I've seen the change. Downtown, you go in there. Now it's all high rise, like 40-story high, that kind of thing. So it's definitely growing for sure.
That's great. Maturing as a city, it's I see it on the lists of like top places to move, and so it's like I know
Mhm.
you guys are just booming. So that's great to hear. Kind of what Denver went through over the last 10, 15 years as
Yep,
well, just like a
yep,
certain
yep.
boom and growth because people are moving here. So how many
Mhm.
inspectors on the team
So
currently?
I have two full time,
Mhm.
and then I just brought on another. Well, actually, I'm sorry, three full time, and I just brought on another part time
That's great.
home inspector. So,
That's
yeah,
so great because I know some
yeah.
pockets of the country are contracting, some are expanding, and so
Hmm.
it's great to hear. Is the
Yep.
sentiment like is prices going up, people still bidding on houses, like multiple offers kind of situations?
I think compared to 2020, 2021,
Cooled a
now
little.
it's not, yeah, it's cooled down definitely. I think the buyer have more options and they don't have to decide on going under contract within 24, 48 hours.
Right.
At that, I remember 2020 and 2021 that I have to make myself available like instantly.
Instant.
7 day, yeah, 7 day closing, 14-day closing
Sure.
was a norm. And when you have a 7 day closing, that means you have to be there the next day after they go into contract.
Right.
And you have to provide them with the report. Turnaround time is the key. And that's
Yep.
how you can get business. I mean, if you tell people that you booked out a week or two, there's no way you can get business. Right now, it's not that crazy, but there are still, a lot of houses have multiple offers. But buyer can shop around. They can have chances to negotiate. I think it's healthy for the market. for sure.
That was gonna be my next question of kind of how you
Hmm.
see next year playing out and your level
Hmm.
of concern or worry with mortgage rates, being 7.5% is kind of what's on everyone's minds.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people are going to go into the new construction. I think there are a lot of new built.
Uh,
They buy down rates. They are, giving out incentive to attract buyer because builder they don't want the house to sit on the lot and like without a buyer for a long
sure.
time. They rather trying to push it out. I mean, in our area, I talked to some of the agent that they are still auctioning. Like they will have like uh, 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 um, uh, um, a house for sale,
Hmm.
and then they will have like six buyer. They literally do a wheel of fortune and see who's gonna get it. That kind of they
Yeah.
literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Agents show me they have an app that they have just a wheel, and whoever spins it right, that's yours.
Wow. Wow.
So there
Legitimately.
are
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, definitely the market is still there. And then they kind of give out those buy down rate, and I think a lot of mortgage lender have a lot of tricks up in their sleeves, and kind of like attracting buyer. So I think new construction in our area, it's pretty attractive right now.
Do you, how do you market like to new construction? Because some inspectors don't know how to break into that or don't know how to get like, is it still marketing to the agents, but telling them, hey, if you have a buyer that's buying new construction, I can still do the inspection? Or like, how do you think about marketing for new construction versus existing home
So
sales?
So most of my business coming from real estate agent, I would say like 80%.
Hmm.
My other is word to mouth. I have a lot of word of mouth client that I have done, maybe their neighbor, maybe their friends and
Hmm.
family. They all buying new construction. They contact me to do home inspections. I would say like my new construction and pre-sale or resale home inspection, they're about 50-50. We do quite a bit
Wow.
of new
That's
construction,
great.
and they are like probably in the same neighborhood. Sometimes they tell us like, yeah, this is the address. I was like, I have done 10 of them the last 6 months in that neighborhood, that kind of thing. So
That's great to hear.
yeah.
Because not
Mm,
every area is fortunate enough to have new builds popping up like that. Some cities
mm,
that's like non-existent. So that's great to get you through these times where there's more new builds maybe than existing homes possibly even
yeah,
selling. Um,
yeah, of course.
okay, so let's slide back into COVID and post-COVID. It sounds like it was largely a great boom time for you, no?
Yep.
Like how did you, yeah, take us back to like where you were at in the business around COVID and then kind of what happened shortly after.
So I started the home inspection, doing home inspection back in 2018.
18.
So I
Okay.
got my license. I got my license, and I worked for a company, a franchise, local franchise, that for about 2 years. I grew up in Hong Kong, so having my own business is always my dream.
Yeah.
And I was in a restaurant industry for a long time since I was like 21.
Hmm.
So I was in the restaurant industry, I want to say about 15 years. So my goal is always open up my restaurant. But as time goes on, the more information you get, the more precision that I have. I was a bartender, server and manager, and I just don't see myself owning a restaurant. It's just a lot of overhead cost, and it's just not substantial. So and then I run into a friend of mine was in the restaurant industry and talk about home inspection. That's how I got in. So I got in. I wanted to learn the business because in school you're gonna learn the technical stuff, how a roof work, how a roof structure, foundation, and all that. But they don't teach you enough to go out in the real world how the business
No.
goes. So the 2 years I'm just open my eyes, like pay attention to every detail, and hopefully one day I will open up my own bless you. And I did that. Um, and then 2020 opens up. Well, let's say that I would still have to supplement my income with restaurants. I was still serving.
Okay.
So I still remember that day, March 17, 2020. That's when the whole world shut down.
Yeah.
That's when all the restaurants shut down. So I pretty much lost half of my income.
Man.
So I used that as my fuel and encouragement. I was like, maybe it's a sign that I need to open up my own place. So I did. I took a leap of faith and just open up, like plan my to open up my own inspection company. So from March up until October, that was all the planning. Getting your I want to do it right too, getting your website, software, and all that stuff. I didn't use your Spectora at that point yet because I want to use still something that I'm familiar with. So I use my old software that
Mhm.
I was working with. And then October, that's when I open up my shop. Um, I'm just like everyone, I went through the phase that I only get one or two inspections a whole month. It was pretty upsetting. Kind of will discourage you. Did I like give you a sense of thinking, did I make the right choice? I'm
Right.
sure everybody go through that. But I'm just gonna hang in there, just kind of do my marketing. But at that time marketing was hard. Like everybody, listen to podcasts or go online and do research. Everybody's like, oh, you got to do the open house, you got to go meet client, just put yourself out there. But nobody in the office
Yeah,
the
you
whole
couldn't.
entire year. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's whole entire year there's nobody in the office. So social media was the one. I'm just following a bunch of realtors, liking the posts, just say congratulations, you close, because the real estate market never stopped during COVID.
Right.
People are still buying houses, and a matter of fact, I think they excel during the COVID year because people are living in a 2,000 square foot house. All of a sudden, they need more space. They need office. They need the kids for Zoom class for their school. And I remember, but pre-COVID is all the houses that I inspect is right around like maybe 2,500 square foot, nothing crazy. But once the COVID happened, all the houses that I inspected is like 4, 5, 6,000 square foot.
Yeah.
And it was like massive. It was massive. And they building houses with basement and all that. So the real estate market never really stopped. And I enjoyed it too because there's no car on the road, clients not allowed to come to the inspection.
Easy. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it was pretty quiet and chill. That's what the whole story about the whole COVID year and stuff. So,
I want to talk about, yeah, that March through October. And when you said
hmm
social media, so are you talking Facebook, Instagram? Like
hmm
what was that process like in terms of your mindset? Because I think social media is underrated to, some inspectors are scared of it and
hmm
some don't know even what to do. And so like,
hmm
did you have familiarity already of how to connect with people through social versus in person? How did you think
So
to do that?
So like media, like you can easily follow because most of the realtor they have their own page, right?
Yep.
And they always post something like, "Oh, I'm just gonna under contract," or "Today is the closing day," and stuff like that. I'm never really a hard salesman. I never really say anything about when I leave a comment on their post. I never say, oh, can I help you do your home inspection? I never say stuff like that. I just drop in. I just continue to do that. Say congratulations. That's all I say. I won't try to hard sell myself. But if they come and ask me a question like, "Do you do a home inspection?" I say, "Yes, I can definitely help you out next time." But if they don't ask, I'll just drop in and just leave a message because the reason why they post it because they want exposures,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm giving them. Um, and it worked out. It might not work out for every agent, but I did definitely meet a lot of agents through social media. And one of the biggest one that was the following year in August, and I met a group in I speak fluent Chinese, and there are only two Chinese speaking inspector in the state of, or maybe three in the state of North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
In our city, there's only two. So, but in our area, there were a lot of Chinese investor, and they
Uh,
felt like home that if there's an
sure.
inspector that speak Chinese, that speak their language. And I connected with this group of Chinese realtors. They definitely helped me big time. From August of 2021 to December, I did over 100 inspections for them. That was actually took off my business.
Yeah.
And that's when I start hiring staff, because I was like, I can't tell them, I'm gonna lose them if I tell them that, hey, I'm booked up the next 2 weeks.
Sure.
That's what the business take me. To be honest, if I have a choice, I would rather be a solo inspector. I enjoy that no staff, no employee, but the business took me there. And I don't want to slow down my company growth because of myself. So that's when I start hiring.
That's great. So I have one more question on social media, then I want to talk about the
Sure.
hiring and the growth. How long did it take from when you started commenting, following to kind of actually getting a job from it? Like, what did you have to be patient for? What, like 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, I would say like, yeah, definitely be patient. You will get feedback. I will be the first one comment. I will be the first one liking the post. You just have to keep at it. My phone's on my on my hands at all time.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked. And then especially TikTok too. The exposure on TikToks, it's crazy. Like I would just simply saying the GFCI outlet not working, and I post and I see there were 1,000 people watched it in 3 4 days.
No
I
kidding.
mean, you don't know who they are, but the exposures, it's is there. Social media does work, and believe it or not, until now I have not walked into a real estate office. I have done some lunch and learn,
Mhm.
but those are the agent that I already know. But I have not stepped foot in a real estate office to say just randomly pop in and say hi. It just I don't know.
Did
I'm
did
not
you
saying it.
did you think you would have to do that when you started in the business? Were you kind of were you surprised basically by social kind of having that effect?
Well, when I started it, there was no way to
Well, that's
go
true.
into
You
the
couldn't. Yeah,
office.
you couldn't.
You
I guess
couldn't.
during
There was
COVID. Yeah,
nobody there. It was nobody there. Nobody in the
so
office.
you had to get
And
social. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's the only way. And then to schedule someone to go to a coffee shop, they don't have the time. They rather spend the time on meeting clients, new buyer, new seller.
yeah.
um and it was hard. You can't get someone scheduled to come out and do a Starbucks meeting. Social media was pretty much my only way.
Yeah.
um and that was, yeah, that was it. So
About how many inspections were you doing a month when you decided I gotta hire someone because you were getting so busy?
when I hit that 40 a month, that's when I was like, I think I need to hire someone. you know um you want to keep up with the customer service. And I never really look at the one inspection I do for them. I'm looking for the five afterward. So if you're not doing well for just one, you're gonna lose the five inspections down the road.
Sure.
And you have to do it right. That's how I attract them. So when I did 40, and that's a lot. I mean, we're talking about 10 a week.
Talking about hiring, was it hard to
Mm.
find help at that time? Like, what was your process for finding your first hire? Because that's always tough. There's a lot of solos listening that I think want to hire. A lot of them can't let go of the reins. They can't find good talent. Like, did you have any issues with either of those, or was it pretty seamless?
It was definitely not something that, easy to find. Like, you need to find someone that is licensed. I like the newly licensed home inspector, so I can teach him the way that how I do. I would rather have those plain, like, just plain sheets of paper. You can teach them the way that you want them to do, because every inspector, how they inspect is different. What they want to put it on the report. Essentially, our report is a product,
Right.
and I like to start from scratch. And I posted on LinkedIn, posted on Facebook. I had a lot of inquiry, but I wouldn't say, like, interview probably about 10 people
Mhm.
before I found my first one. and we do a kind of ride along and just kind of get a feel of if we could get along or not. So
Or
that was my first hire. It was easier than I thought it would be, because definitely in my mind I would be like, how am I going to get a home inspector? It's definitely, yeah, it's definitely not like someone you're just finding a server in a restaurant or finding a bartender in a restaurant.
right.
So, but luckily that I found someone. He's still with us. All my original staff still with us. So
That's great. That's great. So
yeah.
let's talk a little about customer service and kind of like what it means to you and your business, because that is one aspect I hear a lot of inspectors say they worry about is if I hire someone, they're not going to have the same level of service or treat the client the way I do because it's my business. Can you talk a little how you view customer service, the customer experience in your business?
I think I showed them how I treat my customer, and over time they're gonna learn, okay, from me that we're gonna
Mm,
say the same thing. How we're gonna go through that summary walkthrough, or the pre before you start the inspection, they call them the driveway talk,
yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, like, it's not the training process is it's not a 2 weeks. I mean, I would say like my first guy, he's not on his own until after 6 months of hire.
Wow.
I mean,
A lot of
I I
walkthroughs.
I do higher hold a little bit higher standard.
Mhm.
So they a lot of things a lot of people think I am might be like a little micromanaged for a little bit, but it's only the beginning. And once they get that established, like having that muscle memory, they will automatically do 'em doing the way that I normally would do. I think like just put yourself out there, do the same thing, ask them to do, what like let them see how you treat your client. That will be the way that, teaching them. So
Do you find your driveway speech before and after is kind of critical for that client experience, like setting the table? Like how did you create that?
well, to be honest, I think like I said, like I work with a lot of Chinese investor, so they don't never come to the inspection. So my driveway speech is I don't do a lot of the driveway speech. And a lot of my agent that they will suggest the client to come towards the end. We do more of the summary walkthrough
Cool.
than the driveway speech. I want to say like probably 5% of our inspections, client will show up at the beginning.
Hmm.
Then we'll do them. But we hardly ever do much of a driveway speech. But the summary walkthrough, yeah, we do them. I told my staff that you don't have to go through the whole entire report, tell them like 20, 30 things that we found. Just pick five, some more important, and then they will see the report right away. Especially with Spectora too. Like we pretty much finish the report by the time we get out of the door, walk out
Really
of the door. That
nice.
was really a good feature. We set up a good template. Um, we probably spent about 5 minutes to put the location of where we talk about where the defects are. Then that's pretty much it. We can send out the report, the day that for sure the day of. But yeah, most of the time we send them out as we walk out of the door
That's
and
amazing.
get in the car.
That's
Mhm.
amazing because some of our industry still doesn't do that or believe it's possible. And so, did you have to work towards that when you went out on your own, or did you always kind of just start off with saying, "Hey, I'm going to knock most of this out at the house because one, you probably want a quality of life, and two, you want to be able to scale and be efficient." But like, how did you
Yeah,
drive it on site?
yeah. My previous inspection software, I I want to do it, but I couldn't. I
Hmm.
couldn't like. There's no way I can do everything on site. I still like. I still they have a mobile version of the app
Hmm.
to write the report, but I still have to spend at least 30 minutes minimal to fix the pictures and all that stuff on a desktop. There's no way I can do it like finish on site. So that's when I found you guys, and I tried it out for the first five, and I was like, man, this is game changing. And
Yeah.
because I had no life, like I would do two inspections when I did 40 inspections on that month. and I will spend 3 hours on site and then go home and do another 2, 3 hours of fixing the report before I send them out. And then wake up the next morning, I had to do it all over again. And and it was stressful. I mean, the whole reason why that I'm switching career because I want to spend more time with family.
Right.
And at that time I wasn't. So I was like, that's gotta be something better out there that I can do them. And that's when I switch over to you guys. It was great. I call them a life-changing moment for
That's
sure.
awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah,
And at the
yeah.
right time too, where inspections were taking off, you were hiring, and
Mhm.
things are firing on all cylinders. So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the notes to chat about like AI chatbots. Like, are you leveraging any of that in your business, or are you thinking about it? Like, how are you thinking about kind of this next generation of tools?
Yeah, I think that's the next phase. I'm still learning about it.
Mhm.
That's just something that I definitely want to get into. I can see the benefit of writing emails, doing marketing, like telemarketing. Especially you guys have the new feature, the mass email.
Sure.
Incorporate that with the AI chat GTP and stuff like that. Um, and writing like monthly blog or a newsletter and stuff like that. So I definitely want to look into it. That was my next thing.
Yeah.
It's there. I mean, even though people say bad thing about it, you're just gonna have to adopt and use that and see the advantage of it instead of seeing the bad part of it. I know a lot of inspector was worried about, oh, the AI is going to take over the industry. No, I mean, like, I don't think it will ever. You still need a human being be on site and see things. Robot, I don't see that robot going to take over the whole inspection industry. So
Yeah.
anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset it's going to magnify and make every inspector more productive, and companies
Hmm.
maybe can do twice as many inspections with the same amount of staff because they're automating other things. And so, yeah, so I think we're
Yep.
at the beginning innings.
Yeah.
We're obviously cautiously optimistic. We're just kind of we're letting the dust settle because obviously every
Hmm.
company ran out and built in some function just to say they use AI. But like, we're gonna wait
Yeah.
and see and make sure it's useful for you guys before we
Yeah, I
get.
mean, like the repair pricer was Christian Adams. I know, like you interview him.
Mhm.
I use repair pricer for about a year now, and my clients enjoyed it. Those are AI technology, and they estimate your whole entire report. Some of my client loves it, and they'll order it from us after the inspection. If they see the report, there are a lot of issues going on that they want to know how much to cost, how much does it cost
Sure.
to fix all those issues, at least from negotiation standpoint, during the real estate transaction. Is very helpful, and those
Yeah.
are AI technology, and I loved it so much. So
Yeah, we'll get there. Our industry will find ways to leverage it.
yep.
One thing I want to jump back to, I don't want to gloss over it because like,
Sure.
I want to talk about what entrepreneurship means to you. And, before we jumped on, you talked about like, dude, the American dream, like starting your own business. We're both business owners. My mom immigrant came over here from the Philippines. And so I know it means a lot to a lot of people out there. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to hear a little more about your journey, and was it something you kind of dreamed of growing up, owning your own business in America, and just like riff on that for a second because I know it's something special and something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I always like to be the boss, and I remember my dad when I was young age, like, do you rather be a boss or you always work for someone? I was like, that's right, you want to be your own boss. But when you're being your own boss now, I learned is it's not always it feel good. It definitely have that feel good moment. But when you're your own boss and you have staff, you have more responsibility.
Sure.
You have to learn, just simple as like how to file taxes and check your miles and stuff like that. I'm still learning. I'm sure, like, entrepreneurship is one thing that I'm constantly learning new things. But it's definitely feel great. It's being your own boss, and but at the same time there is responsibility that you have to take on a lot more. In the future, I don't know. I'm just gonna take it a step at a time. But I know always that I want the business growth. You want to make sure what you're doing great before you move on to the next things.
Mm,
That's for sure. That's for sure. And you don't want to learn how to run before you know how to walk. Um, so now it's I'm doing baby step and learning new thing. Always constantly think about how can I improve my customer service, what kind of service that I want to add on, and that will benefit the home buying process or home selling process. Um, um, and right now, I think like ancillary services is the key. You know, you're doing a home inspection. I always compare. I did talk to Stefan about it. I compare that to a restaurant. You go into a restaurant. Do you rather go into like a burger joint that don't serve fries and drinks? You can't. You can't just doing home inspection. You have to do radon. You have to do termite inspections. You have to do septics, and you have to do all these other ancillary that they are part of the home buying process. Those are information that they need to know. So I'm working towards that. I think I'm kind of maxed out. I just added sewer scope
oh, great.
to the to the to our portfolio, and but I'll do like water testing and all that stuff. Those are essential. I feel like
Yeah,
so.
that's great to hear. Yeah, and I'm definitely hearing and seeing that as a trend is like if volume is pulling back a little, add on to those services. So then when volume ticks up even a little, your average inspection
Mhm.
price might be $100 more on average.
Yeah,
And that's how you can scale. Um,
yeah.
I'm curious if you're thinking of the business this way of like how in the field are you versus kind of in the office working on the business versus working in it, that saying of like work on the business, not in it. Are you still doing a ton of inspections? Do you want to be out of the field to work on growth and meeting agents, doing more social media? How do you think about that as you keep growing?
So I think right now I'm still doing both. I'm doing marketing,
Everything.
I'm doing inspections because like I'm the face of essentially I'm the face of the company, and people want to use you because of you.
Right.
But I'm start in like introduce my team to
Mm,
all my previous client. So when they ask like, do you have time for this and today to do the home inspection, I always say we instead
we
of
do.
I.
We do. Yep.
We do. Yep. I always like introduce like as a team. We do a lot of home inspection as a team. Like we did one this morning with all three of us on site. We'll finish
Oh,
that
wow.
inspection. Yep. The next gen was great, and we can see what each other doing.
Mhm.
And one of us will do the roof, one of us will do the exterior, the other guy doing the garage, and then we just go inside and tackle. We can finish a home inspection for 4,000 square foot house in hour and a half with three of us on site.
Well, that's great. That's probably sounds good
So,
to agents too when you tell them like, "Hey,
mhm,
you're getting our whole team." Like,
yep. And I kind of use that. If the client does show up, because you're gonna have one of those clients that want to be there the full whole entire 3 hours.
yeah.
So we have three of us on site, and they might kind of distract you and stuff. So one of us will be the one that keep them entertained. The other two actually doing home inspection. So that's like a little trick that I have, and I love like team inspections because we can be like kind of boring going to by yourself in a house,
Sure.
empty house by yourself, and it's for safety reason too. So a lot of home inspector get accident, fall off the roof or fall off the ladder.
True.
If you're just by yourself, it could be pretty dangerous. Like we're touching a lot of thing that can hurt you really bad. Electrical panel is another thing. So having like two or three inspector kind of look out for each other, I feel better about it.
That's great. Do you guys designate who the inspector is that entertains the client, or do you just wait to see how it plays out?
Yeah, just wait to see how it plays out. If that client talks to one of us more, the other two automatically just start working.
Yeah,
And that's a part of the customer service, and you can't stop them to uh, coming into the home inspection
sure.
because they spending $500,000 buying a house, and you got to let them come in and see the house, and see what you're doing and stuff like that. And you can't say no to them. I can't. At least I can't. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt like it's if they want to come, they're more than welcome to come. So
And I think too, it's an I think I love when inspectors view it as an opportunity to connect with them, to answer questions and educate them. Because then when you ask for a Google review afterwards, they're going to be like, "Oh man, Michael took the time to answer all my questions. He was
yep,
patient. I felt like he educated me."
yeah,
That's where I want the home inspector job to continue to grow and say like we're educating
hmm,
them, we're helping them.
yeah,
You answer their questions. I like that a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I say. I said, don't view a home inspection as a report as pass and fail. See that as a information for home maintenance. Because you
Mm,
buying a house, if you don't maintain the house is gonna go to crap. And you have to learn how to maintain the house as well too. How everything work, what is that? What is this? A lot of people still don't know the little dome on the wall. Like they will ask, what are they? They're just clean out, a cover for the clean out for plumbing, but
right.
nobody really know it. And they will ask this, and we're like, hey, that's what it is. Have you seen one of those like doorbell transformer? All clients always ask, what is that thing? It was like it's just a transformer for your doorbell, nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So they need to know what everything is. I mean, maintaining a house, owning a house, maintaining a house is part of owning a house, I feel like.
Oh, 100%. Like, and I
Mhm.
think the more this is coming up more and more where inspectors talk about, well, they ask me how I'm going to maintain my furnace or my AC unit or this or that. And some inspectors are starting to think about either maintenance inspections down the road or introducing the clients to contractors that can help them down the road. Yeah. Do you view the relationship going further than the inspection? And how do you see that like playing out in the future? Like, do you have clients that still hit you up 6 months later, 9 months later?
Yeah.
What are they asking?
Yeah, they're a year. They will ask, like, they will take pictures and ask me, what is this? And they never really saying like, oh, why did you not point it out in the inspection? They understand, house can change.
Sure.
But yeah, I still get emails. Still get text message asking me questions about home, or just simply ask me because we do have a lot of people that moving from out of town.
Hmm.
They buying a house. They probably own. I'm the person that talked to them the most,
Yeah.
beside the
The agent.
realtors, pretty much.
Right.
So yeah, I'm always open arm. They can contact me anytime, and I'm happy to help and anything. You can ask me like, hey, where do you go eat? Or what is the best so and so restaurants? And I just keep in that relationship. Definitely the maintenance inspection I'm trying to get into. Um, it's hard to gauge like someone spent $400 or $500 just for us to come out and look at the house. I'm working on those. I have a couple of ideas. But that's one area that I kind of want to tackle. And I don't want to come like I think the inspection industry is very reliant on the real estate
Mm.
industry. And I kind of want to have something that it's not it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I think everyone should know the condition of the house maybe every other year or every year minimum. So I'm working on that, the maintenance inspection part.
I like that. I like that. I like hearing
Hmm.
that because I agree with you in that we can't, as an industry, just live and die by real estate volumes. I think, and
Hmm.
everyone's going to say, "Oh, we've tried to do this for 20 years." I don't know if we've tried to do it well as an industry in terms of positioning exactly why you're coming back out and
Hmm.
what you're helping the client with, and telling a good story around it. I think just offering it is not going to work, and just saying, "Oh, do you want a maintenance inspection?" Everyone's gonna be like, "No."
Yeah,
But like
absolutely.
painting that picture of what it means, because me as a homeowner, every year I have some feeling on my neck that tells me I need to be getting some things checked out.
Hmm.
But then I have to go Google every single type of contractor and it feels like a hassle. And then I don't do it. Whereas, like, if I could
Yeah.
contact one person to kind of be the point person, I don't know.
Hmm.
I think that idea has some legs, but we haven't
Yeah.
really explored it as an industry.
Yeah, I think so. I think like once it get down, like people know we actually do those things. They have to know that we can do those maintenance inspection. Because right now nobody really know. They just think that like, oh, I'm buying a house, I need a home inspection, and
Right.
that's it. But they're never thinking about like, oh, doing an inspection, having someone to come out and tell you, your condition of the house. It's also as important. So I'm working on that. Yeah, that's one thing that I'm always driving around. That's one thing that I always circle in my mind. How can I crack into that business, or how can I crack into that market? So
Well, let's chat more. I have some ideas.
yeah.
In terms of utilizing advanced and like at 11 months, it's like
Hmm.
what are you sending clients and what kind of value can you provide again a
Hmm.
year later? I love trying to solve that problem.
Yep, absolutely.
And to me, even if it is just introducing them to a couple HVAC companies or a couple plumbing companies to say like, hey, I know you're busy, did a little research for you. Here's some top rated ones.
Hmm.
Obviously, without you disclaim yourself from liability, but that's
Hmm.
helpful. And so I'm just thinking of ways
Yeah.
the home inspectors can be more helpful because some are scared to offer more value, and I don't understand that mentality.
Yeah, whatever helped them, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you have to, yeah, whatever you think like it'll help the buyers. And obviously, it's not for all buyers or all
right.
of your clients, but at least have that option for them to choose. I like the idea of like recommend contractor under Spectora. It was great, and you can just directly send the report or the section of the report to the contractor, give them a quote, and save them a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it's a helpful service
Hmm.
if people want it, and I think that's what we're all about. Is like, hey,
Yep.
let's try things out and see if they're helpful. I'm not going
Yeah.
to force people to do anything, and I think
Yep.
that's the way the industry is going.
Yep.
Um, because there's so
Yep.
much money that gets spent after the home inspection, and I want inspectors to benefit from that and kind of wrap their heads around that
Hmm.
mentality more because
Yeah,
it
for
can help our
sure.
industry grow.
Yep, for sure.
Agents don't always like giving contractors either. I learned this. I was talking to another big company the other day, and they were like, "Dude, our agents don't like having to maintain contractor lists sometimes. Sometimes they're okay if
Well,
you have recommendations."
there are a lot of contractors they like no show,
Right.
and they're I don't know why. I mean, like they would say like they come in here at a certain time, but they never show up. Kind of make them look bad. So kind of turn them down, like turn them away for recommending people.
Right.
I'm kind of same way too. I only recommend people that I personally use or
Right.
I know for the fact that they are good for. They're like they're good for it. They will show up on time and do a good job about it. So um I'm trying to like build up that list for sure.
Cool. Very cool. Um,
Yeah.
well, all right, Michael. This has been great, man.
Yeah.
Anything else we didn't cover? Anything else that excites you about kind of where the industry's going or your business as it's growing?
I thought of a way that like I'm to go back to how I started it. So I did use another different way besides social media to kind of attract people.
Mm.
I have something called a pre-offer inspections, kind of like a walk and talk.
Oh,
But but with Spectora, I was able to provide the report on the driveway right there and then. It attracted a lot of people because like back in 2021, the due diligence fee was so high.
right.
They were like, I think at one point, like someone had told me that the due diligence check was $120,000. Like going in blindly,
Wow.
not knowing if this house had any foundation issues.
Right.
So I come up with like a pre-offer inspection. I only and on my contract is I this is a certain thing I only check for structure. I check your roof. I check your exterior. I don't run plumbing. I don't check your electrical. But I just want you to have some basic condition. Obviously, if I go into a crawl space and something is leaking, I'll put that on
Sure.
the report and let you know about it. But it's like an hour inspection. So it attracted a lot of agent and I found myself meeting a lot of agents that way. Because once I told them that I do this kind of thing, I can save your clients like a lot of due diligence money if the house is terrible.
Right.
I did one last week that I did a pre-offer, and the listing agent only tell them that yeah, we did some floor joists repair underneath the house, nothing to it. That was the disclosure. So they hire us to go out there and look. Half of the house were eaten by termite,
Wow.
and then they end up not going with that house. So I think in our industry, like in state of North Carolina, due diligence is a non-refundable,
Mhm.
and the way that it's set up, it's it was set to protect the seller before when it was a seller when it's a buyer's market. But
Right.
once it's turned, it does not protect the buyer anymore.
Right.
I have a lot of disappointed buyer that they got under contract. We come out, we tell them, hey, you might have some issues with the foundation, or you have some major issues on your siding, or your roof is like about to go out, that kind of thing. So at least they have those information, like a major stuff, before they submit the check, or they can use that to strategize. If the house checks out everything okay, nothing major, they can strategize it and go more aggressive on offering to get the house.
Sure.
And it was very attractive, and it was another way that I meet agent as well too. I have met a lot of agent and then still using me until now because I offer that kind of service.
I like hearing that success story because a lot of inspectors were scared to offer that because they feared if they offered the walk and talk that people would take their lower price service and never do the full inspection. What did you see any of that, or was it mostly just a benefit because they were either going to do nothing, so you'd rather them do
But
something than
that's
nothing.
that's we're going back to the point. It's like you don't see that day how much you make. You have to see how much you make down the road.
Uh, the
Like
relationship, yeah,
the relationship, it's the key. It's all about relationship, how you build relationship with them. And those pre-offers, not it's not it doesn't work out all the time. I mean, when the house is like going on the market and go on contract within 48 hours, it's really hard. I told
right,
I set my expectation with clients and agent that I might not be able to do it, but if I can, I'll try the best I can. I go
sure.
out on Saturday, I go on Sunday. I work late to do those pre-offer. They would call me the morning before, I mean the morning of the day, to do the pre-offer inspection. I'll go out like 2 hours later or 3 hours later and do those. I mean, like, you have to be there for them. Those are the relationship, those are the thing, the gesture that you do, the agent don't forget.
uh,
um, but once you get on their side, you get in those business down the road. Those are infinite, like infinite possibility.
yeah.
Obviously, I don't charge them a full price, but you can't just see the small picture. You got to see the big picture.
I love that. I love that. Thinking long term, build relationships, and just
Hmm.
saying yes and being there for people. Like you said, they
Yeah,
remember it, man. And then
yeah,
they because then they meet you, they get to talk to you, and then they're like, you know what, I like him. He's my
yeah.
guy. He's
Of
my guy.
course. Yep, absolutely. So
Awesome.
that was one way. Yeah, that's one way that I get into the market as well. Kind of make me more put your name out there, more exposure, more people knowing, like, oh, Michael do pre-offer, and they will tell their colleagues. The colleagues will tell their colleagues.
Beautiful.
It's Yeah, for
Beautiful
sure.
word of mouth. Well, where can people find you on social media to check out what you're doing there, connect?
Yeah. It's NPL Home Inspections. That's like Instagram. Our website is www.nplhomeinspections.com. My email is michael@nplhomeinspections.com. My phone number is 919-271-9950.
Dangerous giving your phone number out. That's a good thing though. People, inspectors, I
You got to
think
put yourself out
you've
there.
got to
You
put
got to put
yourself out
yourself out there.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to
and
put yourself out there.
you mentioned this earlier in the episode that sometimes it is lonely or boring, and like I think inspectors love connecting with people that are on the podcast, and so I'm sure you'll get a few
Hmm.
texts and calls. But to me, it's great
Yeah.
networking. People that are
Yeah.
thinking bigger and trying to do better things. They should get to know
Yeah.
each other. So I encourage anyone to reach out and
Yeah,
connect.
you got to learn from each other. I learned from a lot of other home inspector. We have a group on Signal locally. We text each other all the time.
Oh,
We'll
cool.
send pictures. Yeah, we'll send pictures, and everybody just kind of learn from each other. and get better as a whole in the industry. I think it's very important, for sure.
Love that. Michael, I appreciate the time, brother. This is great.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank
I'll
you.
link to everything you just mentioned in the description for anyone that's watching on YouTube or listening and wants to click through. But
Yep.
man, continued success. Hope you have a great holiday
Thank you.
season to end the year. And
Yeah. Thank you,
we'll
Kevin.
catch up soon on some of those actions to talk about upsells.
Absolutely.
I love talking about that stuff.
Absolutely. All right. You take care, Kevin.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Bye bye.